Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking to our distinguished guest today, Saif Osmani, an architect, an artist, an exhibition organizer, and whatnot. Saif, you've talked about they conceptualize entire cities and add people in. There is some really interesting things happening in Delhi, Bangalore, and Dubai. Well, what do you mean? Throw in people.
They throw in people. I think, like you're saying, there was a time probably where architecture was maybe responding to
The needs.
to the needs, and it was an incremental sort of development. So, and people understood development. And I think nowadays what's happening is people are being foisted, maybe in my view, with developments left, right, and centre, which they're supposed to engage with or somehow represents them, but it doesn't really. So in some cases, you'll find tower blocks where they've edited in Asian people of a particular group to the forefront, but they're not the real people who are going to live there. Right. And that's very important, that we get an accurate response to our environment. And I think there's a disillusionment and disengagement that's taking place in London and cities like that. In other countries, like the places I mentioned, Dubai probably less so. In India, there's a bit more criticality where the high courts have actually said, hang on a minute, you've got to be careful how you develop in our cities, because you could really disengage a large majority of the people. So I think how you develop is something that needs to be explored, and development as a word is highly misunderstood.
Right, like you mentioned earlier, that in London, there are a lot of buildings which are not inhabited, see, they're vacant, see. As I drive almost every week past Elephant and Castle, see, new blocks have come up. There's nobody there, and I understand that the flats were sold off the plan.
That's right.
So there's nobody there, but the houses are there, the buildings are there, the nice apartments are there, everything else is there, but no people to see. Is contributing to the homelessness or the scarcity of housing, one thing, but also alienating people from one another, you see, because they don't know who is going to live there, and those people who will live there in those empty apartments, you see, probably here for 3 months or 6 months or something, they won't associate with the local population, see.
That's exactly it. I think that they're selling a lot off plan to people abroad. Whereas before there would have been a larger market in this country. And that's why people have coined the term London as Dubai on Thames. You know, where tower blocks are coming up so fast, and they're very tall ones. So we're looking at something about 50 stories high, 50 floors high. And is it suitable really for families, for people to engage in? It's not. It's very, in a way, it's opposite to community.
But if people are using them as holiday homes, then it's okay, isn't it? They think that we can be here for 3 months and do the shopping, live here, or use it as a pad, and then go home.
Yeah, well, people are free to do as they please, but I think there's, as an artist and as a designer in London, it's something we have to constantly work with, where we're addressing in our works. You know, and the contemporary artists are doing that. They're saying gentrification is an issue. You know?
Right, but you can feel like that, but how influential can you and your profession be?
Architects are very sympathetic to people's needs, but the developers might not be. And this is the contradiction. In a lot of people see a building coming up and say it's the architects who caused this problem, but it's not. Right. It's actually the developers who have stipulated, and also a lot of local governments need to also address it. I think there's a huge miscommunication between local government and people. I live in Newham, and in the last 20 years or so, I mean, following the Olympics as well, there actually hasn't been the positive impact that was promised to us. We spent 9.3 billion on something. Where are the local people engaging with that? I don't see very much of it.
Yeah, well, nobody seems to be happy after Olympics, because they were promised. I mean, Tower Hamlets not happy. They were promised some 800,000 jobs. It didn't materialize. And in Newham, I think that the council leader of Nihom was here, Darren, I think, and he had the similar things to say. See, so.
Well, they're the decision makers, so I mean, they should really be addressing more core issues amongst the people who vote for them, and I'm a bit surprised that Labour councils are doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right, could we have the slides, please? These are about your... Yes, these are about your exhibition, the new exhibition about...
Yes, the new exhibition, it's called Bangla is Not My Mother Tongue.
Mm-hmm. Bangla is not my mother tongue. What is?
Silati is in fact my mother tongue.
What is this? Is it Jalalabadi?
Jalalabadi language, yes. Well, in the exhibition, it's been quite an eye-opener because taking something which is quite native to Bangladesh or one corner of Bangladesh and making it into an exhibition is quite difficult in itself because I did a lot of overlay. The ones you see at the moment are collages. Mm-hmm. Or kind of montages, which are continuous. I'm working on those as well at the moment. Yeah.
Okay.
Here.
Okay. We were looking at the slides of the exhibition. My language is not Bengali, or our language is not Bengali.
Bangla is not my mother tongue.
Bangla is not my mother tongue. Right. See, what motivated you to have this exhibition? I know that this is the month of language movement and 21st February and all that, see, but don't you feel, didn't anybody tell you or point out that this could be rather controversial?
Well,
because this is the month we are saying Bangla is my mother tongue.
Yeah, I think it needs, maybe the general narrative needs to diversify.
It needs to be understood.
It needs to diversify a little bit. I don't think Bangladesh is a one-dimensional place. Mm-hmm. You know, I was there last year and I saw there's some very exciting things going on as well. And being brought up in a Sylheti environment where we speak Sylheti at home, but we can't really communicate it in public, is always a contentious issue amongst Sylheti people. They might not say it, they might not express it, but it's there. And I about a year, just over a year ago, I went along to these classes at Shantir Boy, which is just off Brick Lane, mm-hmm. and they started doing Sylheti writing classes, mm-hmm. and I thought this is fascinating. You know, mm-hmm. I didn't even know that you could write Sylheti. I'm sure a lot of people didn't know that either. And I learned that we had our own alphabet, and there was a lot of books and material out there. So I learned it, and now I can actually say I read Sylheti and I can write it as well. So I thought, well, actually, being an artist, as I'm learning as I'm going, why don't I just put it into the exhibition space and see what happens? Because that's what the exhibition space does. You know, you're supposed to explore ideas and try to bring them to the forefront. Yeah.
The script, Sylheti script, I mean, I was reading about it, and it has different names: Osmani Nagari, Jalalabadi Nagari, and full Nagari, and probably Sylheti Nagari. See. But, and also that in the mid-19th century, somebody wrote a book about the Prophet ﷺ, Halatun Nabi, and it was a gentleman called Mr. Sadiq Ali of Sylhet, see. That was also in Nagari, isn't it, see?
That's right, yeah.
But this is slightly different from the script that we use for the mainstream, I would say, Bangla language, is it?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Well, the Wikipedia says that Sylheti or Siloti, there are variations, is an Eastern Indo-Aryan language primarily spoken in the Sylhet division of Bangladesh and the Barak Valley region of southern Assam, India. This language is considered a dialect, and I'm quoting it from Wikipedia. Don't accuse me of the Bengali Bangla language by Dhaka. By Dhaka means the administration.
Okay, yeah.
How do you react to that?
Again, it's quite questionable whether. I mean, different historians have said different things.
Right.
And the issue about it being a dialect is in Bangladesh it's a dialect, yes. And at the moment it might be considered dialect. 9 million People in Bangladesh, roughly 9 million speak it. 1 million, I think, in Assam speak it. So,
but in Assam they speak Assamese.
They speak Assamese, but there's a large majority do speak like Assamese is very close to Sylhet, actually. So what you've got is
Assamese is close to Sylhet, Sylhet is close to Bangla.
Sylhet is close to Bangla, and so you've got this kind of branching out from through the Devanagari, and that's questionable. So some people don't think actually Sylheti came from Devanagari at all. So, but actually Bengali and Sylheti do overlap about 90%, over 90%, but it's unintelligible that the two groups can't actually communicate through it. And I found that area quite interesting because till you take it into the gallery space, you don't really have that conversation, you know. And I've done some paintings which are taken from contemporary archives, and I've written everyday words. You saw some pictures which we use, like Bari, Gaur, London, in Sylheti, to make people feel a little bit uncomfortable as well. That actually, why don't I know my own language? You know.
Are other scripts used to write Sylheti language? I read somewhere the Sylheti Nagari or Jalalabadi Nagari is one of the many scripts used for writing the Sylheti language. But could be other scripts. Bengali?
Bengali could be used to write. So I don't know quite where you read that, but the Sylheti script, they have got a couple of fonts in Sylheti, and there's new ones coming up every day. Actually, there was talk about one coming up 3 weeks ago, so I'm sure it's out now. So it's very similar. I mean, a lot of the words are similar, like go, ko, you know, so you do have similar words. There's a lot of overlap, but just in everyday language.
Right.
They seem to be.
Again, Wikipedia says it is an almost extinct script. This is because of development of Bengali scripts or Bangla script more after 1971, the liberation. Also because of it did not make sense for a dialect to have its own script. See, I do not know whether it makes sense or not. See, but to me, as I read back in my college days, that a language has to have an area where it is spoken, people who speak the language, literature, and also a script. See, so if Sylheti has a script, it has an area, it has people, it has literature, then it's a language. It fits all those
things, yes.
All the checks, yes.
Well, this is it, and I think that's why I said Bangla is not my mother language, because it is essential. But I didn't want to call it outrightly a language, because I think there's still a process in which its revival is coming forward. You know, that people need to claim it again, partly, for it to revive. I mean, it's been around for so long. It's still very, I mean, we speak it at home every day. So it's still there. It's still very, very vibrantly there at home and in public spaces in Sylhet.
But why have a script for Sylheti? We'll continue with this in the next segment because we're coming to the end. But why not? Can't we use the same script that we use for writing Bengali?
Why can't you? Good question. I mean, I'm sure lots of kids have made that mistake when they went to Bangla classes in East London. I know I have, you know, and I got told off for it. But maybe then, again, there needs to be a flexibility. And I think Bangladesh is growing, Bengalis are growing in their confidence, in their cultural confidence as well. So that's, I'm sure the language as it adapts would be a good thing.
Okay, Saif, we need to take a break. Thank you for being with us. And we have to take this break, and when we come back, we'll still be here talking to Saif Osmani. Thank you.